Caesars Tahoe is the scene of this, the 21st fight in the 3-year comeback of George Foreman, who joined us tonight in this corner. The second coming of George Foreman has vaulted the former heavyweight champ back into the boxing limelight. Over the past 3 years, Foreman, now at the age of 42, has won all 20 comeback fights, 19 by knockout against hand-picked competition, leading to the January encounter with Jerry Cooney. Cooney coming out of a 2.5-year retirement for a big money matchup with Foreman. And George rose to the occasion, demonstrating his enormous power and an arsenal of combinations unveiled for the first time. Last weekend, reports said Foreman signed to fight Mike Tyson with a tune-up against Adelson Rodriguez. Fact or fiction? We talked to Foreman at length about that and much, much more.
Is there a signed agreement for a Rodriguez and then a Tyson fight?
Right now, I'd like to think there are signed agreements, although I'll take them. You know, I'll sign. If you got one, I'll sign it.
Okay, so in other words, it's still in the talking stage. Because there was a report this weekend that it had been done, and you know, big money offered around. But
as it stands right now, everything is in the talking stage. I got to fight with Mike Jamison, which is the head of the list, and I hope to put everything I got into that boxing match. And I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch.
In your comeback, you've had a request for the title. Okay, now that Tyson has lost the title, are you more interested in seeing if you could hook up with Buster Douglas?
I never did chase Mike Tyson per se. I was only after him and used his name because he was the heavyweight champ of the world. He's no longer heavyweight champ of the world, but I still desire to be heavyweight champ of the world. And I'm not going to be sidetracked by trying to chase down Mike Tyson. I want to be heavyweight champ of the world.
Has there been any conversation with Douglas? Can you give us any behind the scenes on whether there's even interest on Douglas's part?
I was in Las Vegas with Mr. Wynn at the Mirage Hotel, and we were awfully close to Buster Douglas, George Foreman heavyweight championship fight. I mean, we got as close as, I mean, only a pin drop or a drop of rain could have separated us. It didn't happen, but it was only because of the legal entanglement that he's gotten himself in. I think that's pretty close.
If you were Mike Tyson's manager, what advice would you have for him?
Well, I'd tell him that if I was Mike Tyson's manager, I'd tell him take a cruise, a 2-year trip to Europe and back. Forget about boxing. Spend some of that money. Come back hungry again, start from the bottom, and become heavyweight champ of the world again. Mike Tyson reigned as a terrorist. I mean, he had this reign of terror. It's all over now. It's all over. And he's probably going to have to get back and acquire some skills to go with it, to take the place of the terror he had. It's gone now. He's going to have something else.
If you had your attitude back then when you were fighting in your 20s, the same attitude you have now, would have George Foreman's picture been painted differently even then?
I don't know. You have to, I'm a product of all the mistakes and just my life in general. I am the sum total of it. I had to go through everything I went through to become what I am today. So it's hard to predict or to even suggest what I could have been in the past. I like George Foreman now, but I'm appreciative that I've had all the mistakes in the past because I'm not going to make them again in the present. There's no human being in the boxing business that works as hard as George Foreman. And when you face the other guy across the corner, if he can't be as focused as I am, if he's half as focused as I am, he's finished. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't run around. And there's no fellow who can meet me on the other end of that corner who does those things can dare challenge me. I don't care who he is. If you just had a party a month ago, you can't fight George Foreman because I haven't had a party since 1977.
Looking ahead, the next few fights for George Foreman, are there any, in particular, any guys out there you would like? If, for instance, you can't arrange to get Tyson, you can't arrange to get Buster Douglas.
Well, it's my idea that the one thing I'd like to do is corner the market of boxing. The fight with Mike Jamison is very important because he's a good fighter. And, of course, I'd like to get past that obstacle. Then I'd like to get the Holyfields and the Douglas and the Tysons, clean up the whole picture, retire, and not fight again until I'm 50.
Well, you've heard of new and improved, George, old and improved and proud of.